Okay, once again, posting a Marvel Legend haul video. I know I just posted one a few days ago. That one had been hanging out for a long time and it took me a while to get to it. And this one is a little more current. It's got some newer stuff in it. So sit back and enjoy. Hello everyone and welcome to Infinite Realms. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Keep that YouTube algorithm happy. So like I said, I've got some new Marvel Legends. And starting off, let's go over to the Thor Love and Thunder. Yes, I finally got these from Hasbro Plus, the only place I could find them. Everybody else said they weren't coming out till August. I don't know why August. It seems like they hit the stores much sooner than that. But I got Thor in his Ravager outfit and Thor in his new armor, which is kind of nifty. I like them both. Now, I don't really buy a lot of the Marvel Cinematic Universe characters. Usually, I just let them be. I have exceptions: Cap, Iron Man. I did buy the new Doctor Strange when that came out. I bought the newer Spider-Man integrated armor when that came out. So, maybe I'm lightening up a little bit. And so, a lot of people have compared Ravager's Thor to Thunderstrike, which is fair enough. I mean, it's a vest with jeans. Yeah, I can kind of see where people might get that from. Ever since I got him out of the box, I've been calling him Lumberjack Thor, because I just think he looks like a lumberjack, especially with Stormbreaker and looking like a axe and all. I just thought that was funny. And of course he has standard articulation as you'd expect at this point. Double jointed arms, really nice figure. I really like it. Good likeness of Chris Hemsworth. Great figure all around. I'll give it 5 stars. I just really like the look of it. I think this might be my new favorite Thor. In fact, this is just a really well put together figure and as good as a representation of Thor as we can get. And then we have Thor's new armor, which I really like the new armor. I think it's got a lot of style, a lot of pizzazz, a lot of class. I didn't hate the previous armors for Thor, but I do have to say, they weren't. There was something kind of plain about them. I don't like them too much. I mean, I did like them and I didn't like them at the same time. It's one of those weird things. This, I think, really pops. I think it really shows. I like the gold and the blue and how it meshes with the red. Usually blue and red can't go together well, and this time it does. I just thought that was really nice. Now again, he's got standard articulation. Comes with Stormbreaker. Stormbreaker looks pretty good. They look pretty well the same for both figures. I do like it a lot, and this is a pretty darn good Thor right here. We've seen the armor in the trailer, so it looks to be pretty spot on from what I can tell. Again, just really like that design. I just think it's really nice, and I really like the metallic blue. Now, you compare this Thor with other Thors. Of course, here I have one of my other Marvel Cinematic Thors, which I just always thought was kind of cool on a funny level, to have a kind of tubby Thor there with his two hammers. Now, of course, if you look, the comic accurate Thors are a little more robust than the movie ones. Of course, that goes without saying. I mean, while Chris Hemsworth is a pretty built guy, he's not, a thunder god. So that stands to reason. Still, again, they look good, and I think they look good with the other figures. I'm sure somebody's going to freak out and go crazy because I'm putting regular Marvel Legends figures alongside of Marvel Cinematic figures. I've heard people complain like that. These don't go together. Don't do that. And it's like, so what? I mean, you know, it's fun. And I do think they go together. They're from the same line. They look pretty good together. They're the same scale. It works for me. It's fine. Everything's fine. And so back to Armored Thor, I would say around 4.5 stars. I think this is a really solid, good figure. I really like him. So, with me and Hulk, one of the biggest problems has always been, I never feel like the Hulk figures get it right. The Marvel Legends one, the first Marvel Legends ones had those open hands. I thought that was terrible. And there's several other examples. Usually it comes down to either the green is too bright, or there's something in the sculpt I don't like. I have to say this is the closest one to date that gets all the marks right of what I wanted out of a Hulk figure. Oh, I forgot to mention the head sculpt is usually way off. I mean, miles away, or something. Even when the head sculpt's right, then the green is too bright, etc., etc. There's always these things that seem to get in the way of a good Hulk figure. So the first thing that struck me on this was the green is perfect. Just about. I mean, it's almost there. It's good enough. The head sculpt, I'm not too enamored with the hair. That would be my one thing I think doesn't work for this figure. The head sculpt just doesn't do it for me. That's the one thing. The angrier head sculpt is a better one, but still, it's just not quite what I really, really wanted from a Hulk. So, if another better Hulk comes down the path that has this similar of a green with a great head sculpt, I'll probably grab it. The one that was closest to this, and I think it's the same body mold, is the one that was first appearance of Wolverine 2-pack. And now the issue with that one is I didn't want the Wolverine. I only wanted the Hulk, and I kept trying to go in halves with somebody to get that pack, and things would fall through, and then like yada yada yada. It just was one of those things that never occurred yet. Yeah, it might later. Who knows? We'll see. Still, at this point, this is the Marvel Legends Hulk I've got, and he's a good one. I really think so. When you compare him with some other figures like Thing, he's a good bit bigger than Thing, and that's how I would imagine those two. Actually, I always imagined Hulk being the bigger of the two. Now, I'm going to be honest, his pose with Thor kind of exposes some weaknesses of both the Thor and the Hulk. I was trying to make it look like there was an uppercut from Thor into Hulk, and Hulk was falling backwards in. Yeah, neither one of them really sit in that pose very well, but that's weaknesses on both other figures. And, of course, as you could imagine, he dwarfs MCU Captain America, and, of course, he also dwarfs Doctor Strange, which should be expected. Now, somebody's going to get mad because I put in another MCU with a comic character. Oh, noes! Now, one thing about the Hulk figure, I've seen the diorama piece get talked about a lot. I have not seen a whole lot about this stand. And one thing about the stand, I didn't notice that the Marvel Legends logo is in the stand. The old school one from Toy Biz. That's cool. But it's a pretty good stand. I like it. I'm going to use it when I put Hulk on display. So, yes, I really do dig that aspect of the figure. But back to Hulk, I will give this one 4 stars. It's serviceable, it's good. He's a hefty boy. He's pretty close to what I wanted out of a Hulk. The colors are on spot. The only thing is the head sculpt. It's just a little bit off, but I mean that's not bad considering how really, really critical I've been of most of the figures I've seen in Marvel Legends of the Hulk. And I've always said I will hold back until I find one that's just right. This is 4 stars. That's good enough. Now I'm going to say I've stayed away from the 30th anniversary Cap and the 30th anniversary Iron Man simply because I really feel like the Iron Man didn't bring anything new into the figure, and the Cap, the colors were just a little bit too bright for me. I thought the Cap's colors should have been a little bit more navy, and if they had been, I probably would have bought that one. So, moving on, going to talk about some things I got in trade. That they arrived at around the same time as all this other stuff. First up is Hercules. Hercules is pretty good. This is kind of the version of Hercules I wanted to get. There are 2 versions of Hercules out there. This one had that mace that he had in his, I think it was his first appearance, might have been his second, I'm not sure. But either way, I always kind of liked that little weapon. I mean, it's kind of was like Thor's hammer there for a little bit. Now Herc, of course, comes with 2 heads. One is kind of laughing and jovial. The other one is kind of more serious, but in some ways he kind of looks like he's confused. I think I like the jovial head better. Still, Herc is very poseable, as you would expect, and looks great with Thor, I think. Even though my Thor's a little out of date, I think he does look great with Thor. And that's kind of ironic, considering the title of that Thor is Modern Thor. But yeah, my Thor's a little out of date, I guess. And so the other side of this godly trade was Loki, the god of mischief. And this is a really good figure. Now, it's been quite a long time since we had a comic version of Loki, and I do kind of dig these bright colors for Loki, because Loki being the god of mischief, I just always imagine him having very, very bright colors. And I'm kind of glad they subdued it a bit in the movies and the TV show, but again, here for his comic persona, I like it. Now, we did have a character walking around in comic accurate Loki gear in the Loki series, and that was fun. That was entertaining. But I don't think, in general, I don't think Tom Hiddleston would really be able to pull off this outfit. And again, of course, as you'd expect, Loki is very poseable. He comes with some daggers that are very got a lot of detail to them. It's really hard to see unless you're really up close to them. But they're really good. I really like them. And so we see Herc and Loki together, and then just to make some fanboy cry, another MCU Thor with a comic accurate Loki. Because reasons. I'm a troll sometimes. I know. I know this sounds silly, but I have seen people really go off about this. So I don't understand it, but I do find it hilarious because you know, all things that are going on in the world, mixing your Marvel Legends is the worst thing you can do. Right. So, my last video I bought the thing Grim. Now, if I had been doing videos before that, you would have seen I had bought the Human Torch, because I really liked the fact that that torch was a translucent figure. That's what sucked me in. Then I saw the Thing. Made me realize my Thing collection is a little low, considering he's one of my top favorite characters of all time, because he is the guy that got me into comics. And so I got to thinking, and I needed the rest of the Fantastic Four, and more importantly, I needed them to relatively match. So, you know, for the guy that doesn't buy whole waves, this Fantastic Four wave, I've actually bought all but one figure. The High Evolutionary was the other one, because, again, reasons, and because I just kind of like the High Evolutionary, but I digress a little bit. So first up is Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic Stretcho. And I gotta say, this figure really won me over with the fact when I figured out that his lab coat is removable. And that's a nice little novelty. And when you take it off, you can put on his regular jumpsuit arms. And now those arms in the package come with hands that look like they came out of some kind of horror movie, which of course is supposed to be Reed's stretchy form going on. And of course you can switch the hands out with the regular ones that are on the lab coat very easily. So you can have either regular hands or these stretchy hands. Now, I think I would have liked to have some other effect along with it, like maybe a stretchy arm with the stretchy hands. That would have been kind of nice. Just one even would have done it. I mean, you didn't even have to make it two, just one. Or maybe even a stretchy leg or something. I mean, I don't know, just something to give a little bit more emphasis to Reed's stretchy powers. And it could have been simple. It could have been just an extension that you put into the wrist and that just makes his arm longer. I mean, it could have been very, very simple. But, for whatever reason, that was not done. That's fine. I still like this Reed Richards. I will give him 4.5 stars. He's a good representation of Reed. Really dig him. So next comes the Invisible Woman. Well, she's not very good at her job because, of course, we can see her. But then again, there is a clear variant that you can get. I don't know if I'm going to go out of my way for that one. I may just for novelty's sake, and then I can say I bought 6 figures of a six-figure wave. Yeah. Okay. I know I'm not going to go after the Johnny Storm that has his partial flames, and then look, I'll probably go turn around and buy it. So I'm often a liar like that. Keep trying to say, no, I'm being practical, and then I'm going, no, I need Fantastic Four. So, one of the things is this is another one that's made me hesitate about getting the entire Fantastic Four at once, is oftentimes it's either they get Reed wrong or they get Sue wrong. And that's really weird. Like they'll have the worst head sculpt in the world for Sue and really great Reed, or the worst head sculpt in the world for Reed and finally get Sue right. But then the uniforms don't match if you buy the other. So it's like, oh, it's so frustrating. Because, geek stuff is so frustrating. So, this Sue, not the greatest head sculpt in the world. Her expression looks like she's kind of worried. I think she's supposed to be concentrating, but she looks worried. I think, though, it's serviceable. It's probably the best Hasbro's going to do with these guys until the movie comes out, because the Fantastic Four don't push right now. Now, when we have a Marvel movie, and if it's done right, it's going to be, the Iron Man effect, I think. All these characters are going to pick up and take off. And while, we had one really, really bad Fantastic Four movie, we had one tolerable Fantastic Four movie. It wasn't great, it wasn't bad, it was there. And we had kind of a ripping mess in Rise of the Silver Surfer, of course. I mean, it's still not terrible, but not as bad as that latest one that came out that was just so horrible, and I'm convinced that's how Marvel got the rights back, because they couldn't stand to make another bad Fantastic Four movie like that. So yeah, Sue has pretty standard articulation, as you would completely expect. She comes with a invisible shield. That's really all she comes with, except for hands. A little lackluster on the accessories here for Sue. I don't know why, but either way you slice it, she's not a bad figure, though. I mean, she could have had a few more accessories, but I'll still give her 4 stars. She's pretty good. Again, that head sculpt is not the best, but it's better than a lot of the ones we've seen with this uniform. This is the uniform, of course, I've always wanted to get with the Fantastic Four, too. And so, here is the first family of superheroes, the Fantastic Four, all together. Finally, for once. And it's a good feeling to have them all together at last. And they all match, relatively, to each other. Of course, that's because they came out of the same wave, so that's why they match. Alright, so now, the biggest This possibly is the best trade I have ever pulled off. And I was on a board, or I was on a group, and I had some stuff up to trade, and it was stuff, I won't say didn't have some value to it, but it wasn't stuff I really treasured as a collector, okay? And some guy comes up, he says, hey, I want this and this and this. And I'm looking at him like, okay, yeah, sure. You know, you want to buy them, you want to trade? And he's like, oh yeah, trade, look at my trade list. I looked on his trade list and I saw this and I said, there's no way. There is absolutely no way you're gonna, there's no way he'll go for this. And I just said to him, I said, I really want to ask you for this. And he said, sure. I went, what? Because looking at eBay prices, I came out probably $30 ahead in this trade. And in a way I feel bad, in a way I'm so damn happy to finally get the Juggernaut and Colossus 2-pack. I have wanted this pack for so long, and every damn time something has fallen through. And now I see it, here it is. It's just so something I've wanted. So starting off with the one who would normally be considered the big guy in the conversation, Colossus. Love the shine of the metal on him. Absolutely dig the colors. The colors are very bright, very vibrant. I found that is one thing about Colossus that a lot of toy companies don't get. He has bright colors. He should have bright colors. I think he looks better with bright colors. I really do. It really just matches up with the silver of his skin so well. And this actually is a pretty good size figure. I mean, you don't really, because you're seeing him beside a Juggernaut, you don't really get that. You're always seeing, oh god, look at Juggernaut, and you're not noticing that this Colossus is a pretty decently sized figure. I do like him. He's a little tough to pose. The one odd thing I noticed was that his chest joint, his chest crunch, is just a tiniest bit loose, and he'd wobble a little bit when I was trying to pose him. Now the other thing is his ankle joints are so tight that it got really hard to move them. I mean, to the point I thought I was going to break the figure, and I would have been heartbroken if that happened. But he's pretty good. Trying to stand him up on his own is a bit of a difficulty because of those ankle joints. It's really hard to get them to sit flat, and sometimes he just falls over, and so that is a bit of a problem. Even with those little problems, I'm going 5 stars with this. This is possibly one of my, I've always said that Colossus, I think, is one of the most unsung X-Men of the group. I really always liked him. He's a big guy who's a sensitive artist. But yeah, he's really, really, really great. And now, on to the big guy, Juggernaut. And Juggernaut, the debate on Juggernaut's size has always been something, it's like, how really big is this dude? And, this begs the question, how far up does he go? And comics have said one thing and then said another and said another, and sometimes he looks massive and sometimes he looks about the same size as Colossus. It's really weird. So but this figure is obviously freaking huge, and he's freaking huge. And there's he's got pretty good posability. In the past I've said with Marvel Select especially, when they get that big, their posability does go down. And while he doesn't have double jointed arms, I mean, he's still been pretty good, and he can still move around pretty good for a bigger figure. Now, of course, he comes with a swappable head and a swappable helmet. Now, I'm just going to be, I see why Hasbro did this, but I don't necessarily like it. It's It kind of just hooks in on his head there, and it isn't really held on very well. So it's kind of weird. So it's not the best thing in the world. It's not the worst either. I mean, I can see it getting used, but I can also see it falling off pretty easily. So yeah, it's one of those things that's kind of a nice little thing to have, but you know, it wasn't necessary. Yeah, I'll just say it like that. All in all, though, Juggernaut is really cool. I really like him. I gotta give this guy 5 stars too. So this set gets 5 stars. This is an awesome, awesome set. You should, I mean, if you are able to, yeah, get it, because it's great. Look at Juggernaut. Now, like I said, Juggernaut is freaking huge. Look at him here beside the Thing figure I just bought. Okay, I'm just kidding. That's actually the Marvel Universe thing. But here you can see him with several figures. But here you can see Juggernaut with several figures, including Captain America from the MCU. Somebody's crying out there. I can tell. I gotta keep. I gotta stop this. This is getting silly on my part. And so, here, if you look, I decided to pull out the old Toy Biz and the old Toy Biz Juggernaut and the old Toy Biz Colossus. Now, these are actually 2 of my favorite figures from that old line. Now, Colossus, of course, my issue with Colossus always was he was too dark, and I thought even if at the least if the Toy Biz one had, you know, put more shine onto his metal, that would have helped. Now, looking at them both together, they're both pretty robust, but I think I do have to admit the Hasbro one looks a little more better put together. There are some parts on the Colossus that look a little, I don't want to say gangly, but not you know, quite as strong as they do on the Hasbro one. And of course, it looks like the Hasbro one might be just a little bit shorter than the Toy Biz one, which it was a surprise. I thought it would be taller. Now, if you go over to Juggernaut, I was really surprised how much bigger the Hasbro Juggernaut is to the Toy Biz one, because the Toy Biz one was, you know, that was one of the biggest figures they produced that wasn't a Build-A-Figure, and I was really thought that was a pretty hefty figure. And then, you know, you look at this Hasbro one, it's almost, I mean, it looks almost to be almost a head taller than the Toy Biz version. So yeah, that's pretty hefty of a figure right there. To my surprise, he's not quite as heavy as the Hulk, though, even though he's a little bigger than the Hulk, so that's kind of strange. But nothing to turn away from, obviously, but because something that did catch me off guard. And so here we see the entire haul together. Everything that came out that I basically received within the past week. This has been just 1 week, and you know, this is not a normal week for me. I don't usually get this many toys in a week, but I really feel like this is a really great haul. I really only paid retail on the Thors. Both the Reed and the Sue were on sale, and the Hulk was on sale, so, you know, yeah, so I really didn't spend too much money on this great haul. This is a really good run, and I really liked it, and I hope you did too. But that's going to do it for Infinite Realms today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and you have a good day, alright?